Today, aka Padders, it's Marvel year by year, a visual history, updated and expanded. Just want to get into this well-designed, well-thought-out book. It essentially starts, check this out, it starts in 1939, in the beginning, timely comics. And then right here, we go all the way into 1961, rebirth of the superhero. And the big book is Fantastic Four #1. Right here, gets published November. And from this point on, Marvel history is created. But I got some tabs here. And we're going to reveal the rise and fall of Marvel Comics just with tabs. So hang out. We're going to get into it. And here we go. Welcome back to the channel, my AKA Padders. Let me just get into a little bit of position there. P-Ray DeLuca here, AKA Pad69, and known throughout Philadelphia, PA, Europe, and the vast multiverse as your eclectic one. Welcome to the production room, part library. Within this library, we have a book, Marvel Year by Year. I believe this book has had 2 edition updates since this one was published. And why are we talking about Marvel Year by Year? Well, previously, earlier today, I'm talking in the wee hours of the morning, I recorded one intro that went into some of my positioning for the future 2025. Going into 2025, how I was going to get more into some of the collected editions, the journal editions, but more or less just going across the board deep into comic book history with a little bit of a focus on Marvel Comics, because I just love Marvel comic book history. And yeah, books like this are essential for that. And these books are great because they literally go year by year. And then I got into this book and I started leaving tabs, if you guys can see them. See these tabs? They're all right there, yeah. Right there. See those tabs? And when I was tabbing ideas for some notes, I'm going back and forth. Another type of video emerged, which is the one we're in right now. The absolute crumbling of Marvel Comics. That, in my opinion, has nothing to do with the SJW, the highly politicized, the highly progressive era that a lot of people argue that Marvel's in. And there's arguments for that. I mean, we see it right here on the cover, which I'll get to in a couple seconds. So we're going to hit that drawing table. I want to just highlight something that I somewhat crystallized for myself today. And a lot of the times, these ideas, right, what we're about to get into, it's been said, it's been repeated, I'm not originating the thought, but a lot of thoughts get crystallized when you see them represented in a new way. And maybe right now, we'll be able to identify the actual decline of Marvel Comics and why. So, let's hit that drawing table and blow our collective minds. Well, sorry, I'm trying to get a little bit of a catchphrase before we hit that drawing table. Let me know if that one works. Let's go. Welcome to my channel. I like being able to do things like this, AKA Padders. So earlier, I shot a different intro for this video. And the intro really was about, I just want to show it off real quick. The intro was more or less a transition from 5 fabulous decades of the world's greatest comics, Marvel by Les Daniels. This book is in the library, on the shelves of many of you out there. But it's mostly just a story of Marvel. It touches on the early years a little bit, right? We see that here. But look, we get right into the golden age. So we do some of these, pre-Marvel, but it's not a lot of reading before we get into what we want to get into. But this is a great starter, and for many of you, it's a fantastic starter. But I view the evolution of that book to this right here. And I absolutely love the beginning of this, where it starts in 1939. Then we jump into the 40s. And it's just, there's just a lot to absorb in the pre-Marvel days. And a lot of these characters too. A lot of them are public domain. A lot of them have carried on. Some of them have been reintroduced, we'll say. But 1948, 1949, 1950, you guys get the drift. And it goes all the way, as you guys saw with the intro, 1961. So this is, my first tab. Let's just jump into my second tab real quick. I want you guys to maybe be able to predict where we go from here. 1984. Black costume. Hercules gets a 4-issue mini. I've been longing to do a collected 4-issue miniseries of Marvel at this time, meaning like all of their 4-issue miniseries, just getting like a nice, awesome stack of them and showcasing those to you guys. If you're interested in that, feel free, let me know. Your comments mean everything. I read them all. But this tab, right? The first company-wide crossover, Secret Wars. So the next year we get Secret Wars 2. But Secret Wars like 1 and 2, they're a solid 24 issues. But a lot of the things that happen in Secret Wars, like things return. Like meaning a lot of the characters kind of, it's like poof, we're not in Secret Wars anymore. And they kind of forget the events of Secret Wars. Which is what you want in the crossover like this, right? But one of the elements of the crossover, we get the black costume. And it's a little bit hazy. It's not perfect, but it's still like a through line. So from 1984 and previously profiled on this channel is really, and this is wild. Because if you go to 1986, I thought like this page would be Onslaught. But Onslaught's just here. It goes to June, and then it crosses over, and we get like a little bit more of a write-up. It's a decent write-up. But then we know Onslaught kickstarts Heroes Reborn. We have kind of what they call like the crossover year, where there's a lot of crossovers. And then through that, we get Heroes Return. And Heroes Return is roughly 1997, 1998. Fantastic Four, really good run there. Some of a return to form. Scott Lobdell, fantastic writer. But this was serviceable. But the real standout during this was the Avengers and Captain America, Mark Waid, Ron Garney, as previously profiled on this channel. And then along the way, I just tabbed this. The Infinity Gauntlet, because again, too, this was a company-wide crossover. But you could just read these 6 issues. There wasn't much attached. Maybe you could have got Thanos' Quest, the 2-issue prestige format miniseries that preceded this. A couple issues of Silver Surfer, but it was still Marvel Cosmic. 6 issues, and then by the end of this, everything returns to normal. So we don't get many lasting repercussions from Secret Wars. Like the Thing is left on the alien world, so She-Hulk has to join the Fantastic Four. So some of the repercussions of Fantastic Four do echo into the Marvel Universe, but it's still like a legit through line. In Infinity War, right? Infinity War just returns everything back to center. time for the next tab. So we go from 1996 to 2005. And then we get House of M. Changes the status quo. And it's an everlasting status quo. Things don't return to center. And it's a little bit confusing if you're a fan of the mutants, because they permanently change the mutants. So that's 2005, right? So up until this point, you had 1961, and all the way from 1961 to 1984, you get one crossover. And then when crossovers actually become a thing, it's 1984 to Onslaught, 1996, which effectively ends the through line. But again, like epic crossover with permanent repercussions. Nothing returns to center after Onslaught. But as a publisher, when publishing goes, Marvel kind of got scattered. Like different imprints, like Marvel Knights, Spider-Man Chapter 1, like the retelling of Spider-Man, essentially. There was like no balanced continuity through these years. But then, some time goes by. In 2005, we get House of M. In the next tab, 2006, we get Secret or Civil War. Civil War happens. Permanent change. So status quo change number 2 now, post Onslaught. So that's 2005. So we're 2005. The next year, another major crossover. 2006, 2008. Another major crossover. And it's not just what happens in like the guts of the story. You have to buy a lot of books. So we're beginning true company-wide crossovers where they're requiring the fandom to go all in on a dollar amount. And the dollar amount keeps going up. So 2008. And then, a little bit of time. 2011. Fear itself. Major crossover. You have to buy every title. 2011. 2012. Avengers vs. X-Men. 2012, 2013. This is Infinity. We can argue this is cosmic only, but it does cross over to many of the regular Marvel books. Big investment to read this. And also status quo changing. So we get 2013, 2014, next year. Original Sin. Lots of books, status quo change, no return to center. Then we're in 2015, the new Secret Wars. Status quo change for everything Marvel proper and all the multiverse. 2016. Civil War 2. And then I have a tab here. This represents Secret Empire, which permanently transforms Captain America. If we look at these tabs, see these gaps? And then look how close it all gets right here. Look how close. Nearly every single year, company-wide status quo changing crossover with no return to center. Along the way here, my up tabs basically highlighted when they permanently changed characters, like Spider-Man. Never returned to center, never felt normal post One More Day. Over here. Oh yeah, here with Secret Empire, Captain America, who
technically, like, the wild thing with Captain America is he gets like stuck in time with this right here. He gets stuck in time, and this proper Captain America is never to return yet again to Marvel proper. So Captain America essentially is just lost in time. And there's been like a couple other status quo changes. But this book is highly interesting to me. Not just for the early years, because it's really hard to crystallize the early years. I think this book just does a great job in giving us like a visual profile of everything. As much as I'm interested in the early years for this, it's the later years too where, like I just want to know. Because again, a lot of these books I was buying at the time, trying to follow. And we also had these like other status quo shifts, like Dark Reign. And then Dark Reign transitions into the heroic age. Again, like the status quo company-wide shifts. This book was already super useful for some of my Thunderbolts research that I've been building for the channel. But these are cheap AKAPADers. I implore, just go out and buy these. They're fantastic. Any of the editions, I'm sure, suffice. And then, big shout out to Mr. Panosian, Dan Panosian, the true highlight that came out of Extreme Studios. I mean, a lot of talent right now is solid talent came from Rob Liefeld's Extreme Studios. But Panosian, he's just incredible on this cover. Look, I love his Destroyer here, which was Stan Lee's like first creation. And I always talk about this. His Loki right here is just like absolutely perfect. Because he just looks menacing. But this is what we would call like Marvel proper here. And then we get into, again, just some of the fate of history. And we get into the New Age Marvel. And then, again, too, like, these characters, the amount of these characters, like, all of these, take Squirrel Girl out. All of these characters, major blockbusters, major movies. Miles Morales, he'll eventually be live action. And Squirrel Girl, like, the huge push for her at one time in the 2010s. So, even just on the cover, we see the status quo shift. And I'm not saying that these characters have to be present all the time. But these were everlasting because of the impact of strict continuity. When we have these tabs that are far away here, strict continuity created the impact of these characters. And these characters strictly survived on sales gimmicks. It's a way to look at everything. But clearly the fall of Marvel Comics was these crossovers, which it's not a new opinion. Crossovers really killed Marvel Comics. It wasn't really these characters. People will blame it on these characters, like Kamala Khan and stuff. But these crossovers, it's tough, I mean, we'll do further study. I just wanted to showcase this, show it off to you guys.